it's time for us to get right into Property Explained with Tim Akinusi. Super excited as we're talking about, the interest rate hikes and the importance of and on property owners that they have here. And this week on Property Explained, we'll be just looking at how the changes in interest rates impact you as a property owner and your ability to get a home loan for your next property. And interesting fact that Mo mentioned earlier on, something about the importance of this week, this coming Thursday, Tim, right?
That's correct. The SARB are announcing whether or not to keep rates the same or to increase them. And it's likely going to be an increase.
Yeah, because that's the nature of things now. Everything just keeps going up, right?
100%.
Yeah. Are you well, Tim?
I'm well, Mo. And I was listening to you earlier, and you talked about saying, during the lockdown, we're having those rates go down, and it was nice, eh?
Yeah. Ooh.
You liked it, eh?
I loved it. But then in the back of my mind, I thought the day they shoot up again. Yeah.
So we're in that cycle now. We were in a downward interest rate cycle at that stage. Inflation was in check, and like every good cycle, everything that goes down must come back up again. And so we're in that space right now. I think one of the questions that people were not asking back in those days was, should I fix my rate? Should I fix my rate? Because it was the right time to just let your rate float.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about that as we talk about the importance of interest rates in the context of property. Yeah.
So basically, with interest rates now going back up, right? The question on everyone's mind is, should I fix my rate? What do I do to stem the tide of this thing going up? And the misnomer out there is that when I fix my rate, let's say I've been given prime, which is 8.25 now. The misnomer is that I should fix my rate and I'm going to get 8.25 and I don't have to worry about all the other hikes. But in reality, when you fix your rate, the bank actually applies a buffer to that. So they actually give you 200 basis points premium over and above that fixed rate. So you'd be fixing it at a much higher rate. So automatically you just start paying more. So the reality is that unless you believe that interest rates are going to go up beyond that 2%, you shouldn't be trying to fix your rate. What you should be doing is just accepting that we're in an upward interest rate cycle, and basically you should just be providing for more of your disposable income to cover and absorb those hikes. So that's really the smart thing to do, and that's the situation that we're in now.
So then what is the impact of rate hikes on the value of one's property?
Right, so when you think about an interest rate hike, right, what the SARB is trying to do is they're trying to curb inflation. So inflation right now is that one thing that needs to be kept in check. In fact, that's primarily the reason why they increase the rates, because when inflation starts to go up, what happens is that they have to put up the interest rates to try to bring it down. And what happens with your property is that your property actually increases in value with inflation because the cost of goods are going up. So the cost of building material is going up, the cost of all the core components that go into building a house goes up. So now new property developers, they actually have to then put up the price of the house because of all the input costs that are also going up. So with the price of the house going up, all of the other houses around the area will also increase. So it's a good thing to actually not be liquid when you can get into a property because the price of those properties in general are all going up. So basically inflation erodes away the value of your rand. So don't keep your rand liquid if you don't have to, right? Rather put it into a property because there you can then pretty much mitigate the effects of your rand being lost.
Let's talk about lending money from the bank.
Sure.
I mean, it is prime points. What did you say? 8.25 is the prime lending rate at the moment.
Yes.
Is there any possibility as a first-time homeowner to get prime, or will you be able to negotiate a better rate with the bank? When is the best time to try and do this?
Okay. So as a first-time home buyer, right? Typically, banks will already see that in your profile that you don't have any other assets, etc. So if you're in a position to put down a deposit, automatically they want to give you maybe prime minus 50 basis points, right? But if you are not in a position to put down a deposit, right, what you can at least do is keep your credit score good. Because if your credit score is good, they will still recognize that you're a good profile, a good payer, and they're likely to give you prime or prime minus, right? And right now, because we're in an upward interest rate cycle, what is happening is a key insight that people don't actually know about, but the banks are also increasing the interest rate buffer because they're anticipating for rates to go up. So at some stage, let's call it 18 months ago, you could afford a property at prime. But because they know we're in an upward interest rate cycle hike, what they've done is that they've moved what the buffer is from 8.5. They've actually included already to say, can you afford this property if rates go to 9.25?
Sure. So
then
they've
your
taken that into
affordability,
consideration.
They take it into consideration, right?
Sure.
So you want to be able to get in as a first-time home buyer before rates, multiple hikes, start happening.
And if you're a landlord, you own property and you're renting it out, can you, because maybe the interest rate's going to go up now, can you immediately change the rate that you're charging your, what do you call it?
Your tenants.
Can you increase it immediately, or do you have to wait until the new cycle starts before you increase that rate?
No, we're contractually bound, my guy. We're not changing nothing.
That is the downside of it.
Yeah.
Is that you actually just can't change that because you have a contract already. So you've got to wait until that contract period ends, and then you as a landlord can give your tenant notice to say, hey, things have changed, the cost of everything is going up. I've got to put up, the rent by 10%.
So the landlord carries the cost even though the interest rate has gone up.
Yeah.
He carries a cost.
Yeah.
In fact, just to give you some perspective, right, during the lockdown, the banks, anyone who had a bond at that stage could take a 3-month payment holiday.
Yes, I remember that.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So as a bank, you could offer that to your homeowners,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
But a landlord, he's not offering that to his tenants, right? He wants his money every day.
That's true.
So so landlds took that hit as
Yeah.
well, right? Because
Yeah.
they simply couldn't just do what the banks do.
Yeah.
So there are all pros and cons to these things. Of course, being a landlord is great because you have somebody else who's paying for the debt on your property. So
Sure.
yeah.
So Tim, just in closing, we got a tweet here coming through from Tabiseng Musito saying needed that explanation of whether to fix the interest rate or not. Thank you very much, Tim.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
If anybody wants to follow you and follow what you do and get more insight on property and the space, what do we need to do?
Simply go onto our website, right? That's www.mortgagemarket.co.za, or follow us on Instagram. Ask us any of your questions. If you're in the market for a home loan, we give you access to the top 7 banks in the country, and we pay you $5,000 cash back.
Brilliant stuff. Tim, always a pleasure having you on, and thanks for today's session. We'll chat again next week.
Fantastic.
Just one question. What are some of the things you'll never compromise on, no matter how bad the rand gets? Not that it ever gets better, Tim.
Hey!
The things I'll never compromise on, right? I'll pay my bond.
Great
That's a good one.
Great answer.
All right, Property Explained is back next week, Wednesday. The podcast is also available if you just tuned out but missed out on this conversation around interest rates and how they relate to your property. Check it out. It is very, very useful. Coming up next, your chance to win with Sunlight's dishwashing liquid.
Awesome.